Hello all, I'm Sai and in today's video, I'm going to talk about my top 10 favorite fantasy series. I've been on BookTube for over 5 years now and until recently, when I watched one of my friend's videos who's Andrew annotates, I did not know that I have not made a favorite fantasy series video ever before. So I just wanted to make this and I'll link his video down in the description. So if you're interested in watching it, you can just click on the link. One thing which I want to say is I've just made sure that I've read all the published books inside the series and not all series inside this list are completed yet. So having said that, without any further ado, let's get into the books right away. We are going to count down from number 10. So at number 10, we have a very recent read series of mine and it is Raybearer by Jordan Ifueko. Now this is just a YA fantasy duology. So there are just 2 books and once you finish them, the series is over. And the author is writing other books also inside the world itself, but they don't have anything to do with this particular duology. So in this duology, we follow our main character Tarisai and her story starts when she's a very small child itself and she's under the care of this powerful woman just called the lady, and the lady has a lot of access to magic. She's bringing up Tarisai, and what Tarisai needs to do now in order to win the love of the lady is she has to become one of the members inside the council of the crown prince, and this should happen in specific because once the prince becomes the king, Tarisai will end up having a lot more access to him, and whatever decisions that the king makes, the council members have a huge role to play in them. If Tarisai gets into the council, the lady can make use of Tarisai to just make whatever she wants to happen inside the kingdom. We follow Tarisai from her childhood and we grow along with her into her young adulthood. And most of the series is just young adult. I can say that like almost half of the first book has the main characters as pre-teens, and after that we have all of them as full-fledged teens. And this duology is very mature in the way it handles young adults. It shows them as both emotional as well as mature people and not just teenagers being teenagers. The world building and magic inside the series is just extremely brilliant, and each and every one of the characters whom we see here are totally important for the story. It's not like anyone is used as a plot device at all. I remember some scenes from both of these books very vividly in my mind because the author's writing is that beautiful. It's not difficult to read, but it is very beautiful and pictures that you'll be able to see the story just unfolding in your mind as you read the text. I think it is super underhyped and many more people need to go forward and read this duology. I also have a dedicated review for this one which will be linked in the description. If there are videos for any of the other books that I'm talking about, all of them will be linked down, so do go forward and check them if you are interested. Next, we have an adult grimdark fantasy trilogy, and this is also not something which was super popular, okay? I know that many people in BookTube have read this and have talked about it in the past, but I think it deserves a lot more hype than it already has, and it is the Book of the Ancestor trilogy by Mark Lawrence. The first book inside the series is Red Sister, the second one is Grey Sister, and the last one is Holy Sister. All 3 of the books are really well written. For me personally, the ending of the series alone felt a bit too rushed because the book is very short compared to the first and second books inside the trilogy, but as a whole, it's a really well written series. Now we follow our main character Nona here from her childhood again, and she is for some reason admitted into this convent in order to become a magical assassin nun. There are so many nuns and other people who train women like Nona inside this convent, and why they are trained and what are the powers that they have is explored by the author in super fun ways inside this book. It is extremely dark, at the same time super fresh. I don't think I've read any other series dealing with the things that this series does. Even the world here contributes a huge part for the plot of the series as a whole. Most of the magic and the things that are happening inside this world are based on its geography, and only if you read the series you'll be able to understand what I'm saying. This is also a series which is perfect to read during the rainy season because I think it will be perfect for that kind of weather. Almost each and every character whom we see inside the series is a female character, and there are very few male characters inside the series, which does not feel like a lack at all. The author has written each and every one of them in such beautiful ways. They are ruthless, they are brave, they are intelligent, they are cutthroat. At the same time, they don't feel over the top at all at any instant. I really want to go forward and reread the series sometime, and I hope many people get to read this also. I think I have reviews for all 3 books inside the series separately, and after having read the series, I want to read some other series by the author too. So at number 9, we have the Book of the Ancestor trilogy. At number 8, we have yet another adult series, and it is the Winternight trilogy by Katherine Arden. And the first book inside this one is The Bear and the Nightingale, the second one is The Girl in the Tower, and third and final book is The Winter of the Witch. All 3 books inside the series are equally good, but this first book inside the series is something unlike anything that I read before, because while you are reading this book, you'll feel like you are stuck in a storm, you are stuck in a snowstorm, and the cold is just biting into your skin. It's not bad in that way, but the writing of the author is too good to such an extent that you'll be able to feel all those things even if you've not felt it before. I'm from Chennai, so I've definitely not seen snow in real life. And while reading this book, I was just able to feel the coldness of the place in which the story was taking place. So in this series, we follow our main character Vasya, and again we follow her story from her childhood itself. But we spend a very short amount of time with Vasya as a child. And the special thing about Vasya is that she is one of the few people inside this world who's able to see supernatural creatures just lurking around everywhere. There's a lot of Eastern European mythology that is tied into this book, and the author has made beautiful use of each and every one of the magical creatures and mythological creatures that are frequently seen in those kind of mythologies. In the first book, we just spend most of our time with Vasya, but after book 1, where the story just happens in a small village, the plot just thickens, and in books 2 and 3, we explore this part of the world along with Vasya and all the magic that she's carrying with her. There is also this winter demon who's playing a huge major role inside the series, and how his story as well as Vasya's story, who's just a normal human being, get tangled up together is beautifully presented by the author inside the series for us. If you like beautiful writing, if you're okay with slow pacing, if you like intricate world building, and if you want to lose yourself while reading a book, the Winternight trilogy is definitely one which you cannot miss. Next, we have a YA fantasy duology, and this is high fantasy, okay? Not normal kind of fantasy at all, but super high that some people may not even end up liking the series because of the way in which the world is just magnificently built by the author. I'm talking about The Strange the Dreamer duology by Laini Taylor. So, in this series, we follow our main character Laszlo Strange, who's a librarian, and he's actually an orphan. He has immense knowledge about this lost city named Weep. The name of the city is not Weep, but because of a curse that has fallen in the city, the original name of the city has been erased from the memory of each and every person in the world, and there is also no evidence of the city's real name in any text also. Out of nowhere, Laszlo here gets the chance to go to Weep and just look there along with its residents. What happens to Laszlo when he gets there is what the series is all about. Apart from Laszlo, we also have another main character, Sarai, who's literally a god living up in the world in the sky. What is the connection between Laszlo and Sarai, and what can they do in order to make the imbalance that is happening in this world back to normal is explored inside the series. If you ask me, the punishment for heinous crimes is beautifully discussed by the author inside this book, and the themes that she explores in this fantasy setting with her characters without making them go out of their traits is just super fascinating, especially in book 2. In the first book, you just see the world getting built and you get to know the characters and why the people are the way they are and what's so strange about this city called Beep. And only in book 2, you see so many other things just falling into place. Why are Laszlo and Sarai important for this city or important for this world? How can a mere librarian just go forward and save the world, or at least get the chance to do so? It's all beautifully explored by the author here. The best part about the series, apart from every other thing for me personally, is Laini Taylor's writing. She has such beautiful writing style that each and every sentence, okay, not even every chapter, each and every sentence that she constructs is so beautiful to read. You have to take your time and just relish each and every chapter inside the series, because there are literally so few books in the world which are as beautifully written as this one. And I've read only these two by Laini Taylor so far. Okay, I have one other book of hers which is a standalone on my shelf, and apart from that, I have 2 books from the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. I'll definitely finish reading all those books this year. I've committed to it. But just thinking back about the time when I read Strange the Dreamer and News of Nightmares for the first time makes me feel so safe, comfortable, and just good. And if a series that provides that kind of feeling to me is not a favorite for me, I don't think anything else can be. Just for that reason itself, we have Strange the Dreamer at number 7. Next, we have a YA fantasy quartet, and it is the Ember Quartet by Sabaa Tahir. The first book is An Ember in the Ashes. Book 2 is A Torch Rise the Night. The book 3 is A Reaper at the Gates. And the final book is A Sky Beyond the Storm. Of all the 4 books inside the series, the final one is my most favorite because it is easily one of the best finales that I've read so far for any series. And to be very honest, I don't think I ended up liking this first book, which is An Ember in the Ashes, that much. But I just binged through the series, I think one book after the other in 4 months. And boy, was book 4 completely worth the first 3 books. The thing for me about this first book is it felt like it was moving much fast and nothing else was happening. I did not like any of the characters that much. And in book 2, towards the end, something massively happens as a twist. And I was kind of okay with it. I know it turns off so many people, and many people despise the series just because of it. Book 3 kicks up the series again, and book 4 is a complete banger. So if you have any doubts of whether you want to read the Ember Quartet or not, just go forward and read it. But keep in mind that this is a brutal series, okay? You cannot fall in love with any of the characters because horrible things, okay, horrible, violent things happen to each and every one of the characters here. Literally everyone, okay? Even if it's a child, bad things will happen to a child. Keep that in mind, because Sabaa Tahir just does that to her characters because she shows the real world represented through her stories in this fantasy world, and it's brutally honest at the same time extremely amazing. Her writing is beautiful, the world is great, the pacing is just breakneck fast, and the plot as a whole itself is very, very intricately woven when you see it towards the finale of the series. I'm not saying much about what happens inside the series because there's nothing much to explain without spoiling book one for you. So I'm not going to say what happens inside the series. Just go forward, pick up the first book. You'll most probably fall in love with the series in book one itself because I've seen so many people fall for it here itself. But if you don't, just keep on reading, and trust me, book 4 will be completely worth all the hype. I'm hyping it. Okay, I'm hyping it 100% because I know it's for the hype. And after talking this much about the series, I want to reread it back again, and I want to annotate it heavily. I can just see myself in my brain. If I start annotating the series, these books will just look even more gorgeous. So yeah, at number 6, we have the Ember Quartet by Sabaa Tahir. Moving into the top 5 now. So at number 5, we have a fantasy classic. When I say fantasy classic itself, most people would have guessed it, and it is obviously The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. I read the series as 3 books, okay? I know that it's a huge single book, over 1,000 pages long, but I know if I had read the series like that, I would have not finished it at all because this is typical kind of writing for me to get myself into. But I did enjoy reading it very much because, The Lord of the Rings is The Lord of the Rings. It's a classic for a reason. If someone can draw people into a world without having glamour in it, without having, romance in it, I think that series must be something which is completely out of the world like this one. It does not have romance. It has a ton of action. It has some beautiful magic. The descriptions are gorgeous. It is extremely slow that you want to die at times because, it's just that slow. I felt like the series was very slow and I was ready for it because I watched the movies, okay? I'm sorry, but I have watched the movies before I had read the books, and that helped me a lot with the series because the movies itself are slow. Okay, the movies, which are 3 hours long, themselves are very slow. And after watching them and enjoying them, it was much easier for me to get into the writing of the author because I knew it was going to be slow. If the movies were slow, obviously the book was going to be slow because the density of the series is extreme. You just see the font size. It's just like dots inside. You have to take your sweet time to read and enjoy the series. If you want to read it fast, you're not going to enjoy it, trust me, and you'll just probably end up burning out yourself. And I've only read the 3 books inside the series as well as The Hobbit. I've not read any of the other Middle Earth books. So of everything that I've read inside this world, the first book, which is The Fellowship of the Ring, is obviously my most favorite because the adventure starts here. How the main crew comes together, the brotherhood that they have, the literal fellowship that they form is just beautiful. They go to Rivendell as well as Lothlorien. Those 2 setups are clearly etched in my brain, and sometimes even when I'm feeling very low, what I do is, in order to do my work, I just put on Lord of the Rings ambient on YouTube. I just listen to that music and do my work. It just energizes me and soothes me for some reason because it is very comforting. So yeah, at number 5, we have The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. At number 4, we have one of my all-time favorite series, okay? There are only 3 books inside the series. It's an adult grimdark trilogy and it's very popular at the same time, very unpopular because many people love it and so many people equally hate it as well. I'm one of those people who loves it hardcore, okay? And it is The Nevernight Chronicle by J. Kristoff. The 3 books inside the series are Nevernight, God's Grave, and Davgone. I like all the 3 books inside the series, but book 2, God's Grave, is my most favorite. This is again one of the most well-built worlds that I've read so far. Okay, the author takes 3 books, he builds it beautifully well. It is brutally dark. Okay, there is no mercy inside this world. There is no kindness inside this world. There is no niceness inside this world at all. Okay, everyone is bad. The main character is bad. She's basically an assassin, and the story that we see here is her trying to avenge her family's death. Nothing. Our main character here is Mia Corveri. She has trained herself to become an assassin. She is like a world-class assassin, not normal assassin. I'm saying to such an extent that Mia Corveri can eat Selena Sodothian for breakfast because she's that bad, she's that good, she's that great. And I've not seen any other character as this main character go through shit, hell, heartbreak, betrayal, and all the other bad things that you can think of in life and just go on towards your goal unflinching. It's extremely well written, super dark. It's definitely one series I took my sweet time reading, but yeah, it was completely worth it. I want to reread this, but I want to reread this when I'm feeling at the top of myself because, very dark to read. Even though I love the character, even though I love the dark humor that the author has, I need to be in a really great mental space to go forward and enjoy this one. I read the series in 2021 and it's been 4 years, okay, more than 4 years since I read this, and it's just so freshly etched in my mind. I love this main character so much. She's a bad person. She's a bad person. I'm not saying that she's a good person to whom bad things have happened. Bad things have happened to her, but even after that, she's not a good person. She's a bad person only. Despite that, the author just makes us fall in love with her story and herself. So yeah, for all these reasons, at number 4, we have the Nevernight Chronicle by J. Kristoff. Moving into the top 3 now. At number 3, we have a super popular and really well-written YA fantasy series. And it's actually a universe rather than just a single series. And it's the Grishaverse by Leigh Bardugo. It has 3 main series inside it so far. The first one is the Shadow and Bone trilogy. The next one is the Six of Crows duology, which is the most popular and best of all. And finally, we have the King of Scars duology. After which the author has not written any major book inside the world so far. I know that she is working on the third Six of Crows book right now, but none of us knows if or when we'll be getting that at all. Everyone knows about the Shadow and Bone trilogy, right? Here we follow our main character, Alina Stotkov, who has this magical ability to summon sunlight. And there is this dark rift in this world called the Shadow Fold, which is just tearing a country into 2 halves. In order to break that barrier, the people need sunlight. Alina is the only source for it. How she's going to bring up some kind of protection to this country is discussed in this first series. And in the Six of Crows duology, obviously, we follow 6 misfits from society trying to pull off a huge heist in order to win a lot of money. And in the King of Scars duology, we follow the story of a prince whom we see inside the series. All 3 series are good, but the Six of Crows duology is just out of the world. I know anyone who has read the series or all the books inside the Grishaverse will agree that no other book that has been written by Leigh Bardugo so far have been as good as the Six of Crows books. I have not read Ninth House yet, and I've heard people who have read that also say that it's not as good as Six of Crows because she has outdone herself in those 2 books. Book number 3 inside the series must be way better in order to even stand a chance with both of those. So the reason why I love the Grishaverse very much is because the author has a super beautiful writing style, and the way in which she crafts her characters is really, really intricate. She does not leave any page unturned. We go forward and learn everything about the characters. We dig into their past. We know them as a person. Okay, they are not just someone written by some other person on a piece of paper. They are an actual person living in the flesh and blood inside the world. It feels like that to me. The scope is epic. The magic is very, very intelligently done. There's so much explanation for the magic here that it feels almost like science. At the same time, there's this mystical element which keeps on showing us that this is magic and not just science. The magic itself is called small science inside this world. I love the writing of the author more than anything. She can just write a grocery list and I will go forward and read it. Because of all these reasons, at number 3, we have the Grishaverse by Leigh Bardugo. Next, we have yet another global phenomenon of a fantasy series. If people talk about fantasy series for at least a century or so, they will not mention this series for sure. And it is A Song of Ice and Fire or the Game of Thrones series by George R.R. Martin. I watched the show first and then went forward and read the series, and trust me, both of them are just really, really, really well done. I know that the ending of the show sucked like a vacuum cleaner, but let's just avoid that. The books are not out yet, so that story is not complete according to me. We have 5 books inside the series so far, which are A Game of Thrones, A Clash of Kings, A Storm of Swords, A Feast for Crows, and A Dance with Dragons. 2 more books inside the series are yet to be published, which are Winds of Winter and A Promise of Spring. I highly doubt we'll be getting those 2 books at all, so let's just stick with the fact that we have 5 books inside the series, and all the 5 which have been published right now are really, really good. Especially book 5 ends in such cliffhangers that it is difficult to think that why the hell would someone stop a series here and not publish any book from it for more than a decade. I've been feeling that for so many years now. Okay, I finished reading A Song of Ice and Fire way back in 2018. Okay, while I was the final year of my college, I read the entire series in 3 months. I think I've not read any other series with this huge books that fast ever in my life as I had read this series. It must say something about the series, right? Because it is that well written. The characters, more than anything inside the series, apart from the world, are extremely well written. Okay, these characters are some of the most well written characters ever. That's the main reason why the show itself worked out so great, right? It's not just the action, the sex, as well as the dragons and huge world stuff. It was those characters who are holding the show on their shoulders, and those characters have been written by this man all just by using his brain. And just think about what all must have gone in his head while he has written the series. I don't think we have anything bigger than A Song of Ice and Fire as a phenomenon written so far after this has been made that huge. And this has my all-time favorite character, who's Daenerys Targaryen. Of all the characters, of everything that I've read, watched, consumed so far, my most favorite character is Daenerys Targaryen. And just for her itself, I can just shut my eyes and say that A Song of Ice and Fire definitely deserves at least spot number 2 inside this list. Finally, at number 1, we have my most favorite fantasy series of all time. This is also the longest fantasy series that I've read so far. Just like the Grishaverse, this is also a universe. Okay, it's a collection of different series. If you ask me, I can say 3 of the series inside this universe will come at positions 1, 2, and 3 for me. But I'm not going to do it because I want to consider the entire universe as one series, which is the Shadowhunter Chronicles by Cassandra Clare. Up until now, there are 5 series inside the world, and we have yet another series which is to be published starting in 2026. One other series needs to be completed with just 1 more book which is yet to be published. So the 5 series inside the world which have been published so far are The Mortal Instruments, The Infernal Devices, The Dark Artifices, The Eldest Curses, and The Last Hours. The final series inside this world, which is The Wicked Powers, is going to start publishing in 2026 as per the news that was given by Cassandra Clare last year in 2024. 2026 is so far away and I want to dive back into this world and I want a new Shadowhunter book. Okay, I started reading the Shadowhunter Chronicles in January 2020. Okay, just before the pandemic, and during the pandemic, trust me, this series was a lifesaver for me. And because of that reason, Cassandra Clare's The Shadowhunter Chronicles is like somewhere else. I rank it somewhere else in my existence itself because I just love the series so much. I love the way in which Cassandra Clare builds her worlds. I like the way in which she writes her characters more than anything. I want to be friends with these characters, okay? I hardly feel like I want to live in any fantasy world, but inside the Shadowhunter world, I want to live in. There are so many characters inside the series who have my heart. I want to be friends with them. I just want to live with them because, in friends, people just hang out together. I want to hang out together with people from the series in real life. In the beginning, I just wanted to read the series because it's an urban fantasy. And I know that urban fantasy is easier to get into compared to, high fantasy. But once I got through books 1, 2, and 3 of the Mortal Instruments, my view towards the Shadowhunter Chronicles or, Cassandra Clare's books completely changed. And once I finished reading the Mortal Instruments and the Infernal Devices, I became like a hardcore fan for the series. After that, everything that I've read, I've only had high expectations, and most of the time, okay, like 90% of the time, I've always been satisfied with what the author delivers. She is such a brilliant writer. She writes the stories in such a beautiful yet simple way that if you're a beginner, you can definitely go forward and read the Shadowhunter Chronicles. I know that there are literally like more than 10-15 books inside the series. I even have a video in which I explain the different orders in which you can read the series. But trust me, if you want to get into the Shadowhunter Chronicles, it's never late because I know that at least for the next 3 years, we have new Shadowhunter books coming in. So you can join the tribe, you can join the clan at any time. We are all welcoming. We just love the people who get into the Shadowhunter world. Another thing which I want to say is I'm not just a huge fan of the Shadowhunter Chronicles series, but also the Shadowhunters TV show. It just has 3 seasons. It is very, very different from the books. The characters are really, really properly portrayed as they are inside the books, inside the series, but the story that they deal with, the plot that they deal with is completely different. Okay, most of it does not have anything to do with the books at all. The characters are there. They behave just as they do inside the books, inside the series also, but the story of the series as well as the plot that the series follows are completely different. I'm just saying different. It's not bad. It's really, really good. I've made some very close people in my life watch that series and they've also just as equally loved it as I have. I know that I will be rewatching it so many times in the future. I just watched it 2 times so far. I have not watched it more than that. But yeah, the Shadowhunter Chronicles is definitely close to my heart. I have review and discussion videos for each and every single book inside the series, except the last published book, which is Chain of Thorns, because I did not like it at all. Apart from that, I have review and discussion videos for each and every one of the books inside the series. That's the extent to which I love Cassandra Clare as well as her books. I've also read her adult series, which is Swordcatcher. I have yet to read the latest release inside the series, which is The Ratpicker King. I will definitely read it this year. So for this video, I just want to conclude the list by saying that the Shadowhunter Chronicles is definitely my most favorite fantasy series of all time, and I'm going to try and make as many people read it as possible. So yes guys, those are my top 10 favorite fantasy series of all time. Don't forget to let me know your top 10, top 5, top 3 or any other numbers of favorite fantasy series in the comments below. I'd definitely like to read them if I've not already. If you want to know my detailed opinions and thoughts of any of these series, all of them will be linked in the description as videos. You can definitely go forward and watch them. I have an entire playlist itself for the Shadowhunter Chronicles, so there are tons and tons of videos that you can go back and watch if you want to know more of my thoughts about any of these books. If you have read any of them, please do let me know down in the comments your opinions of them and we can discuss further. And if you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.